One of the errors that can often be made in our organizations is we treat our leaders like they are Navy SEALs operators. And then we incorporate into our organization Navy SEAL emotional loading. What does that actually mean? It means your workplace environments, clients, stakeholders, metrics are treated as life-threatening, security-threatening. And what we're doing as executives in our communication is you're talking at that level of severity. This puts or induces an emotional overload on your leaders, primarily because it's not matched with reality. And it induces a level of fear of ping pong in their own heads, meaning a lot of senior leaders will have a level of self-awareness to know that when their executive is talking in this emotional overload space, the senior leader recognizes the reality of their environment isn't like that, yet the person who is going to measure their success is talking like it is. And so this tug of war will exist, and that tug of war creates an emotional overload that is unnecessary. Also, the problem is that the emotional overload chips away at their performance. So when we look at the optimization of an individual's performance, it always stems from a state of well-being. And in emotional intelligence, well-being is cultivated from a few important skills that are actively used. In fact, they're proactively used, meaning we use these skills to intentionally cultivate a state of well-being so we can optimize our performance. And one of the skills that supports that optimization is reality testing. We have to be objective. What's really going on? And when I am objective, when I operate from a state of objectiveness, then what I'm doing is I'm level setting my emotional radar. So when things are important, meaningful, I can accordingly modify, adjust my emotional state for focus, for attention, for drive, for motivation, for creative thinking, and so on. So our executive pulse begins from the self-awareness space of how am I, as the executive, communicating where our organization is at? Am I communicating from a state of reality-based? This is what's going on. This is what we need to do. I'm both logical, grounded in my own emotions, and then communicating with appropriate weighting of importance. Or am I treating everything like it's life-threatening, security-threatening? Because what I think is if I do that, then people will elevate to Navy SEAL level of leadership. But that isn't what actually happens to people. What happens is you're forcing this tug of war in their head that doesn't make any sense, and you're knocking off their emotional equilibrium. So what does that mean we have to do? We have to amp up the emotional intelligence, specifically the reality testing. As an executive, you have to ensure that your communication matches what's really going on, how you weight things for importance and emotional gravitas is equal to the reality of what's going on. And then you have to toss out this Navy SEAL leadership type training and instead ground your leaders in emotionally intelligent leadership. So one, they're capable of managing their own emotions, and two, very capable of seeing through when you're not managing yours.